How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen Automotive, which was up 3% on the day. It ended up closing at $1.33. We've already talked about this level many times on the channel. I know many were sending me messages saying, yo, Dre, that is pretty crazy. But you know what? We'll talk about it further in this video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down and below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis from Mullen. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $1.33, being up 3.10%. On the low, it tested $1.25, and then on the high, testing $1.35. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 42.804 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 61.229 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, but hey, we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 35.88. And then taking a look at the moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 21-day EMA, and as well as the 50-day. So it's clear to see that Mullen is in a bear market, trading below all of our major moving averages. But one thing that we are seeing, it is continuing to hold support. Remember, we ended up testing a low of $1.20 the day before, and we ended up testing a low today at $1.25. So we're able to form a higher low. And the fact that it closed at $1.33, if you guys remember, this was a previous area of support that we wanted to see hold up. So it can get very interesting for this play, and where do I want to see some price action at? I want to see Mullen being able to get at least above $1.50. If it can get above $1.50, that's where I want to see if it can get to the 21-day EMA, which is at $1.73. And I think things can definitely get interesting as it approaches the 50-day at $1.86 to see if we can get that test going to $2. Do know that $2 is a psychological area for Mullen, so there could be a lot of profit taking here. But if we have some strength inside of the market and if they continue to bring out some solid catalysts, there is a possibility we can get to this level. But for the most part, as long as we are trading under the 21-day EMA, that's where I'm saying there's going to continue to be some pressure on the play. And that's why if we end up breaking through 125, which was the low of the day, then we have that possibility of going down to 115. But for the most part, Mullen has been holding up fairly well. And if it continues to consolidate within this range between 120 and as well as 130, we could look forward to a breakout. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. The off-exchange short volume ratio is at 29.33%, and the off-exchange short volume is just over 7.27 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, short shares availability is at 6.8 million, updated 28 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 4.19%. Taking a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 29th, it is at 29.15. And then for the close of the 2nd, being at 29.33. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 14.95%, the criteria we normally look for is 14% or higher, so Mullen does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it is at 13.10 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 12.14 million. So we ended up having an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0.96 8.6 million. On the medium, it was 8.24 million. And then on the small, it was 3.90 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 2.04 million. On the medium, it was 7.73 million. And then on the small, it was 2.37 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see for May the 3rd, we ended up having an outflow of negative 1.09 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then taking a look at the large, that represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 15.13%. So this is a consistent range for Mullen. Yes, it is up there, but we have to understand this is a volatile stock. And also the conditions that we have inside of the markets have been fairly choppy. We'll talk about it further inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, before we get started, let's go over the recent press release that came out today. Coming to a city near you, Mullen announces U.S. test drive tour for the Mullen 5 EV crossover. Starting in October, Mullen will embark on a 19-city U.S. strikingly different tour for the Mullen 5 EV crossover. Company to offer Front Row 5 reservation holders the first chance to test drive and experience the Mullen 5 in person. As a part of its tour, Mullen will make stops across the U.S. to provide 5 reservation holders with the opportunity to test drive and experience the new Mullen 5 EV crossover in person. Over the course of 6 weeks, starting in October, Mullen will embark on the 19-city test drive tour across the U.S. Mullen will conduct a 2-day event in each city for reservation holders to test drive and experience the Mullen 5 in person. As the test drives will be conducted on closed circuits or racetracks, the event will be limited to a set number of drivers per day. The tour will start in Mullen's home base, Southern California, and will cover major U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, San Diego, Las Vegas, Houston, Dallas, Memphis, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco. We are excited to announce our 19-city U.S. tour for the Mullen 5 to thank our investors and 5 reservation holders for their continued support, said David Micheri, CEO and chairman of Mullen Automotive. We've had great response from everyone who had an opportunity to experience the 5 in person at the 2021 LA Auto Show. Thousands of people across the country will now have the opportunity to test drive the Mullen 5 on our national tour. So this is definitely some great news coming from Mullen. As far as for on the operational side, these are the things that they need to do. They need to build demand. And if they can build on some great word of mouth from people test driving the vehicles, even better. And this will bring a lot more buzz. So that's why for long-term investors, there's a lot to look forward to here. Now, as far as for the price action, if we're looking for a strong move to the upside, I want to see Mullen getting to at least above $1.50 and then making that move into the mid $1.70 range. I want to see this stock at $2, but we know that is a psychological area. There's going to be a lot of selling pressure there, and with these choppy conditions that we have inside of the market, the only way for us to gain momentum above $2, we need to have that buying pressure. We need to have strong volume coming into the stock. We have consistently been seeing lower volume coming into the play, but I must say it has been holding up very well. Remember when we were talking about support levels, we wanted to see it hold $1.33, and then it came down to $1.25, and then recently coming down to $1.20, and now closing at $1.33. So we could see it is clearly being range bound. So if it continues to trade between $1.20 and as well as $1.35, that consolidation going further, we can look forward for a breakout, because at some point sellers are going to be slowing down, and that's when the buyers can come in and push this price up further. But again, we need to see demand inside of the market. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. There's a lot of shorts who are vested in this play. There is no surprise in that, because like I said, this is a growth stock, so it's going to be coming with a lot of volatility, and since they are not consistently profitable or have any strong revenues whatsoever, that's why you're always going to have these shorts going to be all over the play. But like I said, strong catalyst can get this stock moving. And we also can't forget the fact that we do have Jerome Powell that's going to be coming out, and he's going to give us that update. Is he going to be sticking with the 50 basis point hike? And we also have to pay attention to his tone. Is he going to be hawkish? This is going to be very important, because if the market falls off a cliff, you better know that Mullen's going to follow along with it. And those support levels that I want you to remember, if we break through $1.15, we can go down to $1.03. And of course, you want to see $1 hold up. Again, bearish case scenario. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys a non-biased approach. And I know many traders who watch my channel want to play these stocks either to the downside or to the upside. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how this stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.